Joining us is Maher Nicolas Firzli, Director General of the World Pensions Forum, to discuss how governments and markets should respond to demographic change without succumbing to alarmism. Mr. Firzli, a very warm welcome to In Focus. And how serious is the global fertility downturn for long-term economic stability?
I'm delighted to join you today. It's a great topic. It's a very important topic, which is often neglected. And why do people, policymakers, the media neglect it? It's something which will have consequences on the economy in 10, 15, 20 years, right? And so because the election cycle is every 4 years, because the news cycle is every day or every hour, because the financial cycle is every minute on the stock exchange, something which will have a big impact in 15, 20, 30 years usually gets pushed under the rug, right? I suspect now we're hearing that, we're hearing more and more about that, saying that, look, there is in many countries a collapse of the birth rate, right? Like South Korea and Japan, as you mentioned, but also Italy, also Poland, Russia, etc. And some people now are saying, you know what, it's not bad, which I think is wrong. But who are they? So who is saying, you know what, it's not bad, it may be something good? They are, typically the World Economic Forum Davos people, right? And so who are these Davos, neocon intellectuals and policy thinkers? There are people who for 50 years preach the gospel of free market and open borders fetishism. So they said for 50 years, we can wave the magic wand of modern capitalism at any problem, economic, industrial, cultural, and if you just wave the magic wands of open borders and free markets, you will solve your problems. And now, of course,
how will the problems be solved, Mr. Firzli?
But that was the dominant ideology of the Davos, neoliberal, neocon people. And of course, with Donald Trump in the White House, with Chairman Xi Jinping strengthening his central power in Beijing, so China and America now, they both have an interest to get rid of that Davos neocon ideology. So the only ones clinging desperately to that discourse are the Europeans. They say, oh, we still believe in that free market gospel. The Chinese and Trump, they're wrong. And look at economic growth now. Look at unemployment, inflation in Germany, France, Britain. It's quite bad. So the macroeconomic news coming out of Berlin, Paris, and London are bad. They have been bad for a long time. Economic growth, the most important indicator, which is linked to birth rate, it's linked to fertility, it's linked to the number of children per woman, right? GDP growth in the UK, France, and Germany is much lower than the rest of the world. And so basically the ideas of the Davos, neocon ideologues are failing. So now they are trying to reinvent themselves. And they are reinventing themselves as eco-friendly progressivists. They say that, they need more social control. And they say they need to control the birth rate of women in Catholic and Muslim countries because, Muslim and Catholic women have too many children. And they say that, if we lower the birth rate, it's great because then the world will use less fossil fuels, the world will use less energy, so there will be less pollution, blah, blah, blah. So they're using as a pretext.
And there will be less people, sir. There will not be a world.
So exactly. They're using as a pretext in a very hypocritical way or stupid way, but it doesn't matter if they're hypocrites or stupid, and they say, listen, we have less children, therefore we use less coal, oil, and gas, less pollution, so Mother Nature is happy. In reality, what they seek is social control, because if you control the birth rate of women in Latin America and the Middle East, then you are impacting culture and society, right? You as a policymaker are destroying what? traditional family values.
True, sir, which is the most important thing we're supposed to be focusing on at this point.
Of course. So that's why it's very dangerous. So when these people say, oh, it's great, look at Japan and South Korea, it's true that the average South Korean or Japanese woman, she has had only 1.1 child, blah, 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 for the past 20 years. But look, the economy of Japan is doing okay. Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie because the economy of Japan is not doing okay. And one of the reasons why there is subpar, slow economic growth in Japan is precisely because Japanese women don't have enough children, and there's something called the old age dependency ratio. What does
Mr.
it mean?
Firzli, because I ran out of time and I'm very sorry because I wanted to really discuss this with you more in depth. So I promised you another episode that we're going to be continuing this special topic. And of course, sir, thank you for that thoughtful analysis.